Okay, you're going to learn a lot, so let's jump right in. We're going to go over and draw the Xenomorph. I sketched out like a vague idea, like a scribbly kind of, just for a bit of proportion, but I'm going to start with this pen right here, the Fudensuke. Basically any, normal, slightly brushy pen. All right, go down here. I'm going to pull out for the front. What I can do is also I can actually put this pen in the description if you want. I'm going to go over here and do the front of the Xenomorph face, right? He's got pretty much like no eyes for the most part. And it's going to curve back over here. And it's going to keep pulling further all the way back, right? It's one big stroke kind of for the top right there. All right. We're going to keep it going right around there. Going to go over here on this side, pulling in. Kind of for that bottom right there. And there's a few different versions of the Xenomorph, but for the most part, I'm going to try to lean on the version from, I think, Aliens. It looks a little more, I don't know how to say it, but there's kind of more going on there, on the head. Kind of keeping this big stroke area, okay? Pulling down. Right around here. Continue to kind of pull right in that area. Down over here. Line down. Right here for kind of, now we need his cheek kind of opening up, right? For the most part, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of going along and doing, sorry, Godzilla's causing a shadow over here. And what we're doing is we're kind of putting things in as we, how do you say? Basically, as he opens his mouth, I'm kind of putting that area in right now. Trying to find the bottom of the jaw around there. Pulling back over here. And going down. A little bit of skin going on right here, but the skin's going to be, how do I say it? It's going to put like a tube and stuff like that. Almost looks like it's almost partially artificial himself. There we go. Curve over here. And then we're going to go into the teeth right here, find the gums a little bit. And the teeth is kind of like the main organic kind of part of the Xenomorph to kind of, understand him. There's an ant right here. Pulling back around there. Bottom. Along this area, bottom row of teeth. And we're going to have our that little alienoid thing, his tongue basically that pops out. Curve. I don't know why I don't see a lot of drawings of this. When I go to Google search, there's only like one other one that does the tongue coming out. As far as like drawing goes. Pulling out over here. And it's got this little creature sort of thing that kind of is coming out of that area. Out over here. And over here as well. There we go. Finding areas of the kind of, how do you say that, areas of texture around there. Line in. Down over here for the chest. And line right there. Line out over here. And he's got this huge thing above his shoulder. It looks almost like armor, but I'm going to guess for the Xenomorph's more like an exoskeleton, kind of like a bug, I'm guessing. Or I don't know what it is. It kind of has like a bit of a shell there. Got the shoulder. Pretty big shoulder around this area just to kind of keep it in. And then pull over here and pull over here. line down that area right around there. Curve. And the chest is a little bit of an anomaly right there. We just keep it going. Pretty good. He's leaning in. Could draw his other hand kind of going over here downward. But we have a good base right there, right? We have a good base for kind of put the shapes that we want inside of it. So that's kind of more or less what we're going to do over here. We're going to maybe around this area, I'm going to find a line. There. Curve, 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 curve. On that area right here. There you go. Line in. And I would say the best thing to do next is for us to place in the large dark shapes. I'm actually going to use, it sounds kind of crazy, but basically a permanent marker to do that for the large swaths of dark areas. So maybe around this area, I'm going to use something like that. Maybe along the underside here. Line over here. We also always put, how do you call it? This area right here under the neck. It's almost always something that's good. Like that area under the neck. It's basically the cast shadow. Put it there. Also along the side of the mouth. Under the arm. There tends to be these areas of the drawing that almost always have kind of a dark area to them, and usually these areas are like that. Around there. There you go. Same thing. Don't forget, by the way, hit the subscribe, click the bell notifications if you are hearing me right now. It is good to do that. Right on. There you go. Cool. So you could also kind of let it dry at this point. We're going to go into like more detail. Okay, so let's kind of keep hopping in here with various parts of detail here. So over here now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pull in around kind of the mouth area. And I'm thinking of like various folds and things of that sort. It doesn't have to be consistent. A lot of this is going to be just general design. And it's up to you to kind of make that decision. Because I think within, and we're going to separate the teeth here. I think within certain times, you're going to have to separate, how do you say, you're gonna have to use your design, your very personal design sense. Like right here, we're going into the teeth, right? But you're gonna have to use your personal design ability to kind of see what you like, because what I like might be different than what you like, right? And that sort of stuff really kicks in, right? That sort of stuff is really important, and definitely has a lot kind of going on as far as this stuff goes. Curve line over here. It's going to be a curvature of the mouth right there. How do you say it's going to fold, right, as he's opening the mouth? There we go. Pulling up over here. line along the edge. There we go. And kind of more striations here in this area. So look at the mouth area. I like it. I don't like love it. I do like it enough, and that's all it really needs to be. I am probably going to give him a little bit of a kind of a dark area up top. Maybe, I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. I just think he needs it. And you can alter these dark areas. That's what's kind of cool about the whole thing. You can kind of alter whatever you want. And at some point, you're trying to just see what feels good, right? Trying to see what is fascinating and what moves the way it does. There you go. Right around there. And I would go back and forth between like the black marker and this black marker. Is this the same one? This might be a different black marker. I would do the permanent marker here, and I'm thinking, okay, it needs a bit of a larger dark shadow area right around there. Again, I'm probably going to put a pretty dark shadow at the top here. I think it needs it. I think it's warranted. So let's just pull a line over here. And maybe something like this to kind of start. And then we're going to fill this in. This sort of thing is incredibly important to kind of be responsible in kind of what you're doing here. So like I remember meeting several different concept artists who were like, hey, I would really like to do this. I would really like to do this. I would really like to do this. But sometimes they were doing stuff because they felt the obligation to do it and not because they thought it was cool, right? You want to do stuff for a couple of reasons. One, you do think it looks better. Or two, maybe you do think it looks cool. Maybe you think it's an attractive look as far as the way it's designed. There you go. Excellent. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a curve here. My pen here is kind of dwindling out. I don't really have a replacement for it. I'll have to go buy a new one somewhere. There we go. Line over here. Along this area. Right on. It has a lot of cool features to it right there. Like kind of like a bug. You can tell they use the bug. Like a bug for that portion. And let me throw another little wire down there just to kind of get things. You sometimes want to break up some shapes there. I just think it looks not organic enough. And so I just want to break up the shape. So some of these are kind of go beyond the bounds of just the design, right? Some of these are a little bit beyond that. They're personal tastes. And I think that's why the character endures, because you can you can just kind of toy with it and do as you want. There you go. Right on over here. And I'm thinking, there needs to be a little bit of a darker shape here at the bottom. Yeah, right there toward the bottom. And then so you have like one dark, right, like marker that kind of gives you a lot of the big massive values, and then one to kind of carve out that shape. You're carving these shadows. You're just carving them out. There you go. Right on. Just carving, carving, carving. There we go. Pulling up over here. Same thing. And just kind of, now we're trying to separate it out. I'm thinking, okay, so the teeth are going to cause a little bit of a cast shadow over here. And part of this is reality, right? Well, meaning how the shapes would really kind of play around, right? That's the science of it. And then part of it's a little bit of fantasy. Part of it's a little bit of fantasy here. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. And we kind of keep looking at it. I'm thinking, you know what can I do to push it further? There's a lot of little things, like I said. Sometimes putting in too many small shapes can actually kind of break up the image, and you want to kind of be careful about that. That might be a little bit too risky. So we're thinking like, all right, well, we can kind of do this other thing, or we can do this other thing, right? There's always options, and I would also try not to leave too many of these shapes completely flat. You know, see how it gets thick, then thin, right? Not always, though. Some things will be totally flat, but generally you want to do that to kind of increase the kind of the dynamic of what's happening, right? The dynamic of what's going on is pretty much always going to be, it's always going to be a thing. There you go. Cool. So let's go over here now, and I'm thinking, all right. Pulling a line over here. Curve over here on this side. And line over here. And like I said, looks pretty good. I want to have this darkness carry through a little bit. Maybe something like this. I just need it. The carry through needs to be a little bit more. But pretty good. Pretty good. I think it does carry through just enough. I want to throw in a little bit more striations right here on his arm, because he has these striations across. Curve over here, kind of for the musculature of the arm. Line over here on this area. And line on this area as well. Cool. And I think that might be enough right now. If you like that, by the way, I want you to do me a huge favor. I want you to share the video. Sharing the video is huge. Trying to get this channel running, and it's been pretty slow, I'll be honest. I just feel like some videos will kick off, some will not. I ended up kind of changing the channel a little bit, but I want to keep it like this. So I want to thank you very much. You're amazing. Talk to you soon, all right? See you later. Okay, so that was amazing. You finished this lesson, but keep it going. Keep the art practice going by clicking this video right here. It's going to be within the same theme, and you want to keep it rolling to get better and better and better and get that art flow going. So click right here.